All right, now we're playing.
Wait, are you skewed again? Oh, it always does that.
It always does that. So, mic check, check. How's the audio? Does this look good? Am I lit well?
No, I think it looks great.
All right, I always freeze up on camera. All right, we should talk. What do you want to know? So Neil and I, every time that we do a setup, one of my favorite things is we do what's called playtime, and that is in between the interviews, we'll set an interview ourselves and just kind of like act silly on camera. Because those are the kind of things that are the most fun to watch years later, is people being I just screwed up. What I was trying to say is people being natural and people being real, and playtime. So anyway, Neil and I, what should I say? We're at the YWCA today. We're interviewing Girl Scouts, and they didn't bring us any cookies. A lot of people don't know this, but the Girl Scouts actually have cookies at their shop all year long. They have cookies to give away. I'm watching myself on the screen. Ask me a question.
Tell me how the web has changed advertising.
Well, the web's completely changed advertising because people want things instantly now. And like the thing that I think is crazy, I'll just tell you, it's like Forbidden. Forbidden has 5 full-page ads in INEZ, and nobody's there. Why is that? Well, it's because nobody's actually sitting there reading the Forbidden ad. They flip open INEZ to see them and a picture of their friends and who's hot. They'll read a couple of the articles that are bitchy, and then they move on. People aren't there to look at the advertising. However, if you look at BS West and the Halloween video, the entire thing is an ad for them, but people watch the entire thing and forward it to their friends and tag it and go on and on and on. And people have been coming up to me all month. The entire thing is an ad, but it's engaging, it's entertaining, it's entertaining. How many ads in INEZ are entertaining?
Because it's so tight, you gotta be careful with how much you move around. It looks okay because it looks kind of MTV and you're moving around, but just be careful not to move out of the frame.
Out of the frame. All right. You don't think it's too?
I think it looks cute.
Okay.
I mean, I like.
No.
Especially when you're like right there and there's.
Yeah. All right. I'll try to hold
the
still.
side of you.
I'll try to hold still. I'm posing too much, so maybe I should just.
Stop being a poser.
It's hard. You know what? I always tell people I get what it's like to be on camera because I do. Because periodically I'm on camera and I act and I freeze up and I start to act not natural and I start to perform for the camera. What is it? You start to think about and you start to judge yourself. So instead of just saying and being yourself, you're doing that and then you're replaying it in your head and you're judging it. And it's just like a computer. When it's doing too many things at once, you lock up.
Some tips for success when you're a Girl Scout lady and you're coming in.
Will you tilt the screen down so I don't see me? Because I'm judging your shot. I'm like, oh, is it too much of this? Is it too much of that? That's better. Okay.
If I'm a Girl Scout lady coming in today, give me one tip I could download for 99 cents for going on video. Like what's one tip we tell people all the time?
Try to have fun. Because if you have fun and if you're your own personality and you just kind of get into the moment, it always comes across better on video. So number 2, don't try to give sound bites. Just speak, just talk, just be yourself, and let us pick the sound bites because it's always better that way. Don't wear stripes, little stripes. That's ridiculous. I don't know. What tips would you give?
Oh, that's good. I'm trying to think of some. I'm trying to think of what we always tell people over and over and over.
I want to talk about this MikeChesworth.com podcast. What should it be? What do people want to know? What will I say? I actually was on my way to Tempe Music Festival. I was thinking about this last February, and I was like, what would my podcast be? What would I say? What would be my position on things? Anyway, as I'm walking, I saw this graffiti on a sign, and it said, "Speak about what you know." And I thought, wow, yeah, well, what is it that I know? Oh, phone.
Perfect.
What do I?
It's Heidi.
Let her get a voicemail.
Hello?
Hello, Heidi Fogelsong.
Heidi Fogelsong.
She's talking in the middle of my interview. Why would she call in the middle of my interview? Bullshit. It's just a bunch of crap. Anyway, so what I want to talk about is all these people that advertise in magazines. You're spending $1,000 sometimes a page, and what are you spending that for? You're spending that for people to see your ad based on 20,000 circulation, 50, 100,000 circulation. You're paying for the eyeballs. The problem is, after 30 days, your magazine, your ad, goes in the trash. It's invalid. Nobody's ever going to see it again. What if there was a magazine that you could pay to put your advertising in there once, and they would run it every single issue for free every month? You'd want to put your magazine. you'd want to put your ad in something like that, right? Well, it exists, and it's called the internet, and people are not taking advantage of it. You put your ad in a magazine, and at the end of the month, your ad is invalid, but you put the same amount of money into a good viral marketing video, something worthy of being passed around, and it's still valid a month, 2 months, 6 months later, and people will see it. The other thing is, let's say you take out a full page ad. You got 1 page to cram everything. But if you do a 30-second ad, you get a full page, 60 of them every second. You can show this, you can show this, you can build up, and you can actually tell your story. People don't read words. It goes back to when I was in yearbook in high school. And there was the editor, and there was a constant fight over me, the photographer, and the editor. And she would write brilliant stories and really interesting commentary on the high school, but how many of you have read what it says in your yearbook? Or do you just flip around and look at the pictures? That's what people are doing. And you're putting all this thought and all this insight into your advertising, and people are just flipping through the pictures. What if you made a video? What if you made pictures? What if you told your story online and put the same amount of money and effort into that and cut your marketing in magazines? How would it return on investment? I exclusively market on the internet, and my return on investment is 100%. And I totally snubbed that. So that's not what I'm supposed to talk to you about. What do you want to know? What do you want to know? So here's what's interesting. I can tell you, Neil, if you can sit down so I can talk to you. I'm talking to the lens.
You have to slouch a little bit, because when you're slouching,
all right.
I do perfect.
How about this? Does this work? Okay, sit down. So here's the deal. I make television, and I've been doing this. Neil, you got to look at me.
Oh, sorry. I'm happy to look at the camera. Not
I know. Try to look at me. Okay. So I've been doing this for pretty much my whole career, since I was 16 years old. And I've been hearing over and over and over, why don't you be on camera? Why don't you be on camera? Particularly this last year. Everyone, people I interview will come up and be like, hey, have you ever thought about being on TV? So I think I'm going to do it. I think this is it. I'm going to have the Mike Chesworth podcast, and I'm going to talk to people about what I know. I'm going to talk to people about, in this economy, you know, nobody wants to do overdraft fees, and of course you should spend less than you earn. But sometimes you know in advance that you got so many things that are coming out of your bank, and you don't have enough going in. You're going to overdraft. Well, what most people do, they get frustrated, they give up, and they allow these fees to rack up. What they don't always understand is that the bank has a grace period of 24 to 48 hours to move around the order of the transactions to maximize the fees that they can charge you. You can have this go through, this go through, this go through, this go through, and then this thing goes over and you're $3 over. Instead of charging you once, they will rearrange and make it so that you go over first because this one was a bigger transaction and they can charge you 5 fees instead of 1. Knowing that, if you plan ahead, if you look and see, ooh, I don't have enough to cover this month, go ahead and pull all the money out of your bank. Let it go 500 negative instead of 3. You get charged the same amount of fees and you have $500 to buy food and gas and live off. And you're still charged that fee anyway. If you just plan ahead, if you just look, it's what I call robbing the bank. Figure out what's going to go through and what's not. All the little purchases, the things you slide your card through, they have made that convenient. The reason why they made it convenient is to make it a habit so that you get trapped and they can send you a fee. Break that habit. Start paying in cash. When you start to pay in cash, it's not trackable, it's not traceable, and they cannot charge you a fee. How many times have you been charged a $30 fee off something that costs less than 10 bucks? How aggravating, how annoying is that? It happens, and it's not just you. They have come up with a system to trap us. It starts out in college. They give everybody credit. They give everybody credit cards. Why? Because they want to get us addicted. They want to get us caught. When the slaves were first being freed, there was an argument. There were people that were against letting the slaves free. Why? Because they said you cannot have a functioning society if you don't have slave labor. That's actually true. They could not have built the pyramids. You could not have had the America. They couldn't have had what we had if not on slave labor. Well, as you know, we don't have slaves now, but we do. It's voluntary slavery, and it's called credit. They get you addicted when you're young. They get you to buy all these fabulous things, and then you feel obligated. You feel obligated because of debt. What do you feel obligated to do? To work longer hours than you're willing to give up your weekends, to take another job and another job and another job. You have become a slave. Why? It's over credit. If you can just learn, and it's hard, to withdraw, to not give in to the temptations, to live below your means, you don't have to be a slave. The number one thing that will make you happy is free time to hang out with your friends and your loved ones. Not a new thing. Especially if you have that new thing and you're constantly working and you don't get time to enjoy it. Everybody's figuring that out right now. This is the new economy. The new economy is people are figuring out, hey, why am I working so hard? Why am I putting all this into a company that's just going to lay me off? Why am I investing into a 401k that's just going to get robbed to pay a CEO? That's one of the things I want to talk about. Another thing I want to talk to people about is the importance of online marketing, the importance of social networking. For me, it started out, I was actually not so big into Facebook. I did it like everybody else did, and it was kind of fun. And then one day I was coming out of the Phoenix Public Library, and it said, follow us on Twitter. And I saw that, and I thought, really? Like, for real? Like, I need to know that Wednesday is like book day, or that, you know, we're having a special. Let me try that again. I think that was awkward. So when it really clicked for me, there was a time I was walking out of the Phoenix Public Library, and there was a sign, and it said, follow us on Twitter. And I thought, really? Like, for real? Like, the library, I need to see their little tweets? What could they say? And I was kind of so frustrated and irritated by that without thinking, I pulled out my iPhone, and I tweeted, and I said, Facebook, blogs, and there's another one, Twitter. Facebook, blogs, Twitter. Let me try that again. So I saw that, and I was like, in my iPhone, Facebook, blogs, Twitter, everybody's talking. Is anyone actually listening? And what was amazing is within about 4 seconds, boop, 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 I had 4 replies. Hey, I'm listening. I'm listening. What do you got to say? I'm listening. What do you got to? And I was like, wow. And it actually went up to 38. 38 comments. That's rare. Anybody who does periodic social marketing realizes that you usually get 1 or 2 or 3 comments on something. But to go that high, to start a wave, is like I call it, is impressive. So then I put another thing up, and another, and another, and another. And I was amazed at how many people commented. But I also was amazed at who was commenting. Some of these are people that I haven't actually interacted with in 10 years. I just saw them, they saw me, we clicked, and then there was that awkward moment where, what do we say? But the beautiful thing about online is, I have a friend, one of my college buddies that I hadn't talked to in 10 years, and we clicked to be each other's friend, but what do we say? Neither one of us really wanted to break the ice. But then I saw one of his posts, and it was, Toby's getting ready to plant his garden with his family. And that was a beautiful opportunity for me to go in and write a reply and say, you know, I moved into this house in Arcadia about 6 years ago. And I started like planting flowers just because I had a house and grass. And the first year they all died. And then the second year I planted different ones, and some of them survived. And the third and the fourth year I really understood what would work in the area that I had. And by this year, like, I'm stoked to plant flowers. So I got that. And we kind of connected on that gardening level, and it started a conversation. And that's the power of online. It breaks the ice, and it gets rid of the awkwardness. The biggest killer in all of it is awkward. When I do these interviews, it all shuts down the very moment it's awkward. And so everything we do, everything we create, is to keep it from being awkward, to keep it natural. As long as people are natural, people connect. But as soon as it gets a little bit uncomfortable, as soon as it gets a little frightening, people clam up. That awkwardness comes, and we shut down. That's common. We all do it. But for those people who learn to master that, to just get rid of the awkwardness, you can do anything.
I want to do the free tip on like stop advertising in magazines. Like, do that whole thing about the internet's free and you pay for it once, and you get to run it over and over and over and over, and they don't charge you.
Well, you know, Heidi talked about in her speech that advertising has changed. I mean, that's true. Look at broadcast media. Who watches commercials any day? I mean, between DVRs and TiVo and Hulu, and there's a number of ways to watch your content, the only people that are watching commercials right now are the people who can't afford your product. If somebody can buy something, they can also afford a TiVo, a DVR. They're watching it on the internet. It's like the stuff that's broadcast Tuesday at 1 p.m. What do they broadcast? They're broadcasting to people who don't have a job. Those people don't have a job, okay? The people that are watching commercials can't afford your product. Unless you're advertising a bankruptcy or divorce, you're perfect. So where are those people? How do you mark them? How do you reach them? They're online. They're on the internet. They're on their iPhone. And they're only on their iPhone. I mean, look at these other phones. Well, I don't want to get too political, but what you want to know is about these magazines. Here's the deal. When you put an ad in a magazine, what are you paying for? You're paying for eyes to see it. You're paying for the circulation, whether they have 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 plus. You're paying for people to see that ad. The fundamental problem with a magazine is after 30 days, after that issue, it expires, your ad is gone, never to be seen again. However, There is a magazine out now. However, there's a way to put that same amount of money, the same marketing you're spending now, into that same ad, but have a way for it to be published for free forever. And it's online. If you were to make a video for that same 5,000 that you put in that ad and put it on Facebook as opposed to YouTube, people would see it. See, the difference between Facebook and YouTube is Facebook, like a shotgun, spams out to everyone. You'll get 10,000 hits, but 10,000 who? Random people all over everywhere. But Facebook is different. Between tagging and comments, it zeroes in on your immediate friends, their friends. If they comment, suddenly it opens up and their friends and friends of friends can see it. And it just has this and targets who you want to see.
That's good stuff, though.
Yeah. So this is what we do. We entertain. Neil and I actually, and where this really all started, is there's a joke between us that every time I speak at a party, people start to listen, people start to gather. And it sometimes is fun and sometimes is annoying and I don't know, I want to say that. But anyway, we were at one particular party and I was feeling pretty discouraged with this economy and I hadn't worked for a few months. And I started telling a story to somebody and a couple people started to tune in. And Neil rolled his eyes and he's like, oh, here we go again. And somebody said, oh, well, Mike, what is it you do? And I looked at Neil and I thought, and I'm like, quite honestly, I speak and people listen. And we both smiled at the truth of that because that seems to be the case. I cannot tell you how many times I've been at an event, at a party, at a circumstance where I'm telling a story or telling a joke to one or two people, and for whatever reason, people start to tune in and other people start to listen. And I recognize that, and so I speak a little louder and I try to engage people just to be a good speaker. And then more people engage and more people engage. And by the end of the story or situation or joke, you know, I'll have half the room. The one thing I do when I get really excited, I get that I'm engaging, but then sometimes I use the wrong word. I'm catching myself doing that where it's like, I've choked on my own word. So anyway, if I had a TV show, would you watch it?
Yep.
Would you watch it, Neil? Would you watch me on TV? Am I engaging? I don't know. Would I watch it? What would I want to know?
That magazine clip was good enough that we could steal that and use it?
We can. Let me try it again. So the deal is, when you put an ad in a magazine, in a publication, let me see that.
Yeah, you could say magazine. Or a newspaper or a magazine.
All right, well, I want to be really broad. I want to say publication, because the deal is when you put an ad in a publication, what is it that you're paying for? You're paying for the circulation. You're paying for the 10, the 20, the 50, or 100,000 plus that view that magazine in the hopes that their eyeball will be caught and that they'll scan your ad. However, the fundamental problem with that is at the end of a month, whenever that publication's issue is expired and the new one comes out, your issue's gone. Your ad is gone and no one will ever see it again. However, there is a publication that's being publicized it's really hard to say. I guess the nuts and bolts of it without getting to is if you just put an ad, if you just make a video, make an online video as opposed to putting an ad in a publication, so many more people will see it and you can so much more effectively tell your story. How much of your story can you really put in an ad? Yeah, a picture is worth 1,000 words, but 1,000 pictures, and that's what online video is. Why are you settling for one picture when you can have 60 pictures a second? That's what online video is. You can have this and this and this. And you talk about sometimes people want to put that all in an ad and it gets so busy and so crazy and becomes what I call words. Oh, too many words, too many words. Because when you make something look so busy, when you make it hard, people turn the page. People move on. Everything is so simplified and given to us, and we've become accustomed to that, that when there's any level of work involved, we just move on. Instead of getting angry about that and judging it, why not just give people what they want? Why not just make it easy for them? Why don't you make a video and tell your story? So why the web? Because that's where people are. At least for me. That's why I'm a director for the web, is because I want people to see my stuff. You know, I could get all excited and say, you know, I'm on film, I'm on IMAX, I did a play. But then who do I show it to? I don't want to slam anybody. I want to be positive. I don't want to just, yes?
The
web is now. The web is what?
Free.
The web is free.
I want to do the whole
free.
Pay for the ad once and it runs forever.
Well, that's the whole thing. You pay for the ad once and it runs forever. That's the beauty of the web now, and that may not always be the case. See, right now, we're in the middle of a gold rush. And the deal with gold rush is whoever gets there first wins. But like a gold rush, it does get to a certain point and then it falls on. The dot-com boom, the actual gold rush in California, once everybody figures out that you can sell a house and flip it, it's too late. But everybody hasn't figured that out just yet. It's getting close, but the market still is not saturated. We're still a ways away. But the biggest thing is this. Would you watch it? Would you read it? Would you check it out? I mean, you're busy. You have a CEO. You're running a company. Do you have time to sit and read that? If you wouldn't, neither would they. If you wouldn't sit and watch it and research it, neither will they. Make it easy. Give them exactly what they want and teach them something. Make it worth watching. Google has this mantra. Everybody's doing analytics and they're trying to do search engine optimization. That's so 1997, it is too late. You don't think that they know that? You don't think that they're skirting around it? They have redone the Google algorithm to avoid search engine optimization. If your web person is telling you about search engine optimization, you need to move on. On the Google website, it says but one thing. We reward those who give. And that's the only advice they have to get a better Google rating. We reward those who give. And that's the mantra it needs to be in your web video. Don't tell them what your story is. Don't sit and give them spam and look how great we are. Open it up. Show them behind the scenes. Be vulnerable and teach them something. Give them something. Make it worth their time. They've spent 30 seconds watching your piece. Have them be enriched after seeing it. And if they are, they will find other people that they know and think, oh, so-and-so could benefit by watching this piece. And they'll forward it on. And that's what makes things viral. Not that you put it on the internet. Ooh, wow. Just because you put something on YouTube doesn't mean it's going to take off. You have to put something that's worth forwarding. How do you do that? Number one, you got to get out of the picture. It's what I call killing your babies. Sometimes you're so close to a project, sometimes you're so close to something and you think it's so great and wonderful, you can't see. Your neighbor can see that your kid cries and your kid's annoying, or your dog. One of my favorite moments is I had a friend and we went over to his house and his dog is jumping up in our face, licking us, and we're trying to be polite, pushing him down, and he says, yeah, I never wanted to be one of those people who had an annoying dog that everybody hates. And I looked at my friend and we didn't say it, but we both thought the same thing. That's the deal. Nobody can see their own annoying kid. Nobody can ever see how annoying their dog is. They all love it. You are too close to your project. Back off and let somebody else see it, and then listen to their advice.
Video is expensive. Tell me why it's not expensive.
It's not expensive. It's not expensive. And the whole thing about this new economy is being lean and sustainable. And there's so many things in video that you can do to make it a lot less expensive. The thing is, you need to market. In the down economy right now, when things are down, that's the time to get your name out there and let people know who you are. And then you get to rise up, because the ones that are not doing it right are going to fall away. The big names are going to crumble. And people are going to be left, who were they always hearing about when things were bad? And then as soon as things are good, that's who they're going to go to. It is so important to get your name out there. But the deal is you need to get your name out there in a way that people will actually see and hear it. People are not watching commercials right now. They're TiVoing it out. People are not scouring the magazines to read your ad. They flip through the pictures and they throw it in the trash. However, people are online. People are forwarding videos. People are tagging their friends in pictures. So make something that's worth forwarding on. Do something that people can tag and comment about. Make it feel like a conversation. Everybody's talking about that, and the reason why everyone's talking about that is because it's true. When you start to hear something here, and then you hear the same thing here, and then you start to hear the same thing over here, and you go somewhere else, instead of getting annoyed by it, you should stop and be like, that's probably what's going on. And if you're not in alignment with that, you need to change. Unless you want to be left out. Not everybody wants to be part of what's going on. Not everybody wants to be successful. I see that in business all the time. People always say they want to do this, because it's the thing to say. But most people don't want to do the work. But if you're willing to do the work, it's really not that hard. I tell people who want to do what I do. Can you zoom out a little bit and so I can see the whole?
We're running on reserve battery power, so that's not good.
Oh, okay. Zoom out wide. Just pull out all the way.
Pull out?
Por favor. All the way out, all the way wide. Okay, zoom in a little bit closer. little bit close. Just enough to see background. I want studio. Okay. So people always ask me. I just want studio. So people always ask me, because everybody wants to work in TV. Everybody wants to work in Hollywood because it's fun and exciting. And I tell them, because there's a... Sometimes it's hard to know what to say because you get so many things in your head. The gist of what I wanted to say is people often think that it's hard to work in Hollywood, that the competition is high. And that is true. There are a lot of people who want to do this, but most people are not paying attention. The biggest advice I tell